Hi. Okay, this is part 2 of my guide on Gina. It assumes that you've already watched part 1 and you've gotten at least this far. You have Gina up on your screen and you're ready to go. In this part, I'm going to go over some different triggers, how you set them up, and what it looks like on your screen using the overlays. Now, this might not mean a whole lot to you right now. It might look like nonsense, but it'll make perfect sense here in a little bit. I'm going to tab over to Everquest and just show you briefly what it looks like when you have Gina running in a game. Alright, so I'm going to start my attack on the combat dummy here. Going to use all my different cooldowns. Alright, you can see all my stuff running here. Outrider's Accuracy, Third Spire, Imbued Ferocity, etc. And that's really the basics. That sound you hear, that's a gift of mana proc. So I know to use that right away before it wears off. And this is what happens when I use my breastplate. You can see the debuff is on me right now, Natural Harmony. When it fades, it makes that sound. And that lets me know I can use my Anguish breastplate, Storm Channeling. Right here I have my dots and short duration buffs and debuffs. There's called shots. Stuff like that. Stuff that's going to be running out in a short duration, and I need to take advantage of it while I have it, so I know it's there. I also have my defensive cooldowns, and that show up in a different place. You can see Protection of the Spirit Wolf and Outrider's Evasion. That lets me know how long I do what rangers do best and fall over.
Next Spire.
Oh, now I know that the next ranger in a line should be using his third spire of the Pathfinder to keep that buff running if you're grouped with more than one ranger. And that works for other classes too. If you've got a couple of beast lords,
Next Guardian.
you know, if you got a few bards and you want to chain Fierce Eye together, you can set all that stuff up. Guardian just faded, so I know it's time to press Group Guardian. And yeah, there we go. That's generally what my thing looks like. But that's all just DPS stuff. The real goodness of Gina comes from boss triggers. Go down to where I have all these saved. I have my raids here. And let's say you're doing a feast for Zalakor, right? You're assigned to a specific platform. In my case, it's the Aura of Power. Well, if you're busy, you know, someone linked you a funny YouTube video, or somebody, you gotta do your little upvotes on Reddit, ERPing with your internet honey, whatever it is, taking your mind off Everquest. Well, you don't have to actually pay attention to the game. You can just use a Gina trigger. Zalakor directs his fiery breath towards the Aura of Power. That's the emote that lets you know you're about to die, unless you move. So,
Run away, little girl! Run away!
You can set an audio file to let you know that you need to run away. Gives you that timer over here. It'll let you know when the platform is safe. That way you don't die. Congratulations, you just beat Everquest. And you can set those up for pretty much anything in the game. Like I said before, anything that goes to your chat window can be broadcasted through Gina, because what Gina does, more specifically, is it looks through your combat log And it looks for all these things, all these triggers. And it does what you want it to do. So, let me show you how to make a trigger now. Okay, so to make a trigger, the first thing you need is overlays. Overlays are boxes on your screen that are going to display information that you tell it to. What you do is you go over here and you click on overlays. You have two options. First option is text overlay. That's your stuff like platform is safe, auspice is ending, stuff like that. Text that you want displayed on your screen that you don't want to miss. The other one is timers. And I showed you a bunch of timers. So let's go ahead and add a text overlay first. It's going to bring this little box up. You can put this box wherever you want. Wherever you put it, that's where the text will show up. So we'll put that over here. We'll call this test text. Doesn't matter what you call it, just so you know what it is. I like Arial font because it's easy to read. The default one is this Charming font, which I don't know if you've ever seen. Charmed with the witches. It's Charming font. See? Test overlay. And for some reason it's not showing up, so whatever. You can change your size here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So, Charming font. See? Fancy, fancy. You can change the size. You know, I usually do really big for important stuff, smaller for stuff that I just want to reference. For most things, I like to keep it between 10 and 20. Because you got to keep in mind, the bigger it is, the less Everquest you can see. So there's that. You can change the color of the text here. Make that red. Bump that up to 40%. Then you save it. And then that's what it's going to look like. And it'll stay on the screen for 10 seconds. This is marked in seconds. So there's your test overlay. Now, timer bar is pretty much the same. Empty bar color. This one is invisible. I like that one. And then timer bar color. Make it black. Well, black is kind of hard to see. We'll go with green. And change the font color here. Text. You know, same stuff. And we'll call this one test timer. Keep it real simple. Now, you want to go back to Gina. And now you have your two overlays here. You have your test timer and test overlay. What we're gonna the trigger we're gonna make is gonna put the timer here and the text display here. I have a bunch of these depending on what I want different things to do. Dots, that's where my dots go. Cooldowns, that's where my activated AAs go. Defensive procs and stuff that keeps me alive here. And then boss timers and boss things up here. So, just gives you an idea on how to set that up if you care. And I only use one text. Boom. It's real big like this because some of them are long. I just want it to broadcast across my whole screen. Now, I'm going to make a new trigger for an AA called Bulwark of the Brownies. Just right click on whatever category you want to make. You can make a new category with that group, but it's defensive AA, so I'm going to put it under defensive. It's called Bulwark of the Brownies. This is an AA that I activate. The search text, it's the text message that it sends to the combat log when I activate it. And now what I like to do is I like to go to EQ resource to find what all these little messages are. If you go to databases and spells and skills, you can type in Bulwark of the Brownies, and boom, pops it up right there. Gives you all the information you need to set up a trigger. For instance, the duration is 3 minutes. It casts a spell. These are the trigger text, stuff like that. So let's go back to Gina here. And search text. When it lands on me, it says a shield of brownie magic surrounds you. So I want that. It's pretty exact. So you gotta make sure there's no spaces at the end or at the beginning. Otherwise the trigger might not fire. Now, save that for now. Oh, we don't need to restart right now. We can restart in 4 hours. Okay. If you see here, it asks you what category you want to put it in. So I'll show you what these categories are right now. You go over here and you go to trigger categories. It brings up a list. Now, we just made 2 new overlays. And we want to use them. So, make a new category. And now, test overlay and test timer. Those are the 2 things that I use. So this new, the 2 things that we just made. So these 2 new overlays are placed together under the test category, and you can now use that. So Bulwark of the Brownies will go to those things that we just made. Now, here under basic, you can have it display text or whatever you want, but we don't want to display text, we want to use a timer instead. We want it to count down from 3 minutes. And now, if in this 3-minute time frame I get knocked under 50% health, it's going to cancel Bulwark of the Brownies and cast a new spell instead. So we want end early text. The shielding fades away. And that'll let Gina know that if I get this message, the shielding fades away, it'll cancel the timer. And if that timer gets canceled, it's going to cast a new spell called Brownie's Blessing. Here's Brownie's Blessing. This one lasts for 2 ticks, which is 12 seconds, each tick being 6 seconds. Then I have an AA that extends that by 70%, so it's about 20 seconds. So I want to go here, and that's what it's going to say if Brownie's Blessing triggers. I want that to go to test category as well. And I want that to count down from 20 seconds, hours, minutes, seconds. And this is an immunity proc, so it's pretty important. If you're getting wailed on and you're scrambling around paying attention to other things, you're going to want it to warn you, because you're not going to be counting down from 20. So let's see. Brownie's Blessing has ended. Now when Brownie's Blessing ends, it'll say that in the text overlay we made. Now, there's another failsafe. If I missed that, I might want it to make a sound. I showed you the different sound files that you can use. For instance, there's
Beware.
that one, but and you heard a bunch of those earlier when I showed you my little setup. But here's text to say. Text to say is really good if you're planning on sharing this trigger, because the other person might not have the same sound files as you, so they're not going to get that audio. But so we use text to speech instead, and it sounds like this.
Brownie's blessing has ended.
Sounds kind of ridiculous, but it works. So, here we go. We have these two triggers. Let's see if it works the way we want it to. Go back to EQ. Go ahead and stand up. And we'll cast Bulwark of the Brownies. There it is. And now we'll see if what happens when I get knocked under 60%. Spam a few Summer's Gales, knock me under. Oh, gift a mana proc. There you go. And there we go. You can knock under 50% and Brownie's Blessing. That'll tick off. Looks like it's a little off on my little calculation. 16 seconds. That's easy enough to fix. Well, that's the trigger. So.
Brownie's blessing has ended.
Oh, there we go. And so that doesn't really look right. Don't really like the way that looks. It's easy enough to fix. You just go to the overlay. And you just stretch it out a little bit. There you go. Now if you just want to test this, now my Brownie's Blessing is on cooldown. But you can actually just type them here. Watch.
Next auspice.
See? And then we can say shielding fades away.
Brownie's blessing has ended.
Okay, and see, you can go through and you can change it like that. Still doesn't look quite right, but you get the idea. So one more thing you can do here. I'll show you how to do that. So, I'm really bad at using my epic when it's up. I'm a terrible ranger. So, what I'll do is I'm going to make a new trigger to tell me when my epic comes off cooldown. Call it Aurora CD, Aurora cooldown. The buff that my epic casts is called Falcon Strike. There you go. And then, so when that lands, it says you strike this with the Spirit of the Falcon. Remember to always delete extra spaces. We're going to send that to dots, which is where I put most of my short duration stuff. This is something that I want to keep an eye on all the time because I always forget. So I'm going to put it right in the middle of my screen where my dots and stuff show. And we're going to do countdown. Give that a better name there. And I can reuse my epic every 3 minutes. So go ahead and save that. Now it's right there. So now when I go into here, I cast my epic. See, it's going to last for that long. That's my duration in red. But now here it shows the time remaining until I could use it again. So I always remember to use it. Big DPS increase. So that's pretty much triggers. You know, this works the same for boss triggers too. It's just a little different. For instance, let's take a look at Zalakor. So this is a Feast for Zalakor, right? For this one, I can never remember the URL. But for this one, you want to go to like Alakazam, which is, you know, a Pokemon, I guess. But you want to go to this site right here. Go to Alakazam. And you can type in the name of the raid encounter, and there's the mob. There's the boss, right? So find whichever one is the raid expedition. You want to go to that, and then here you want to find the actual boss. Here you go, Zalakor. Now it's going to tell you, you know, all the moves he uses, like Fire Blast. So if you want to know when you get blasted by fire, or, well, that's not a great example. Let's see. Zalakor is actually a terrible example. Let's look at something easier. So, if you've done Chapter House, you know that there is a spell, or there is a buff that you get that turns you into a ghost, and you use the ghost to fight wraiths. It lasts 2 minutes, and if you don't get out in 2 minutes, you're going to die. So this is the message you get when you get this buff. A wraith draws life from the living. So you go to Gina and take a look at here. You got Withering Shade. So we made it here. A wraith draws life from the living. When I get that message applied to me, then it'll give me a 2-minute timer. And that way I don't get death touched. So that's basically triggers. Like I said, you can do a lot of things with them, show a lot of information, and it's just it makes playing the game a little bit more efficient. So you can always make sure you get the right information and you're doing what you need to do. These are good general ones. Somebody, the raid leader, says stop DPS. It's gonna play this sound because I don't pay attention to my chat in the middle of encounters. You know, I'm focused on other things, on the fight, so I don't necessarily hear that. Someone says AFK check because I'm not around. I'm getting a glass of water or something in between pulls. It's gonna play that sound, and then I know it's time to, you know, get my butt back into the computer chair and pretend like I was paying attention. So yeah, that's generally how this program works. Well, that's Gina in a nutshell. It's pretty much everything you need to know to set it up, get it running, make triggers, etc. If you have any other questions, you can contact me on the Wraith. My name's Fuse, I'm another Greyhawk. You know, Gina will make you a better player if you install it. It might have a little bit of a learning curve, but it's worth it. Maybe you don't care so much about all this DPS stuff, Like, you know, maybe you're real old school and you think, oh, well, we didn't have this shit in 1999, we don't need it now, and sure, fine, whatever, do what you want. But the raid boss triggers are really what make Gina special, and they will help you kill bosses better. You know, if everyone's on the same page with these emotes and everybody can see all this information, you know, not only are you much less likely to die from something stupid, you're helping your raid leader out. You know, you're taking some stress off of him, you're letting him play better, and yeah, I mean, there's no downside to it. It's a great program, and I hope you got something out of this little video. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for a guild, Greyhawk is always recruiting. We do pretty good. We're working on tier 2
Next
now.
auspice.
We do it on a pretty laid back schedule, and yeah, check us out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.